Tree, or three poets under the lyre tree, or poets and fiction writers under the lyre tree. We've had all sorts of combinations. But we knew today that the three poets that we have here today would draw an audience that wouldn't fit under the lyre tree. So you can imagine a fictitious lyre tree behind the three of them as we listen to their verses. I'll keep my introductions short because we want to spend as much time with their poetry as possible. Sukrita Paul Kumar was born in Kenya. She now lives in Delhi. She has written several collections of poetry, including one called Without Margins. She has also written books about criticism and particularly about the literature of partition. When she's not writing poetry, she's usually walking in Jahanpana forest in Greater Kailash. His Excellency Pavan Verma is India's ambassador to Bhutan. He's here today, though, as an author and a poet. He's written a number of non-fiction books, including Being Indian, Becoming Indian, and several collections of poetry. He's also translated some of Gulzar Sahib's poems, and they have a collection of green poems that will be coming out soon. He and Gulzar Sahib also appear in a book of dog stories, which is published by Natraj Publishers. Gulzar Sahib needs no introduction. He wears many different hats. He's a filmmaker, a lyricist, a poet, biographer of Mirza Ghalib. Many of his songs have been picturized by the greats of Bollywood. He has written film scripts for films like Anand, which actually was the first film in Hindi that I ever watched here in Mussoorie. So welcome, Pavanji, Sukrita ji, Gulzar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to begin. Well, thank you, Stephen. Is it audible to all? Can you all hear me? Is the mic on? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Stephen. It's easy to introduce a program where someone like Gulzar Sahib is there because then you have to do very little yourself. Essentially, all three of us are mountain people. And we are here today because between us, there is an incestuous conspiracy in which the chief culprit is Gulzar Sahib. We have translated each other. We love poetry. We love what Gulzar Sahib writes. Occasionally he loves what we write. And above all, we all love the mountains. And one thing we've observed, and we were talking about, is that when you live constantly in the mountains, perhaps you begin to take them sometimes for granted.
Yeah, bilkul.
When you are not with them and you still love them, you realize what a sense of calm, peace, serenity, tranquility, an oasis of solace, solitude, the ability to use them to get away from the humdrum of life. They come as a package which, in a sense, provides you an escape from the world. I don't mean to say that everyone in Woodstock has escaped from the world. But what I do mean to say is that somewhere in the back of your mind, they constitute a comfort zone, which you associate in your mind as a way to get away from it all.
Absolutely.
And that's how we all view mountains. And there are many, many poems of Gulzar Sahib which I have had the honor to translate. He writes, as you all know, in Hindustani, but we have 2 volumes which Penguin has published called Selected and Neglected Poems, where I have translated him. And several of his poems are on mountains alone.